This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome aboard. We have 3 more shows where we're called the Triple Option. The one true Triple Option. Then we are going to retool, and we're going to pull the plug like the Merv Griffin set. Pierre, we'll pull the plug and come back with Scandals and Animals, the new format.
What was the guy's name? Jack. What was the animal guy's name?
It wasn't Jack Hanna. It was Jack. Jack Hanna. It was Jack something though.
What was his name? I forget something. Fowler.
Jim Fowler. Jim
Yeah.
Fowler. And my favorite, I've quoted that episode maybe more than anything, and no one ever catches it. When somebody said, like, when he tells Jerry in the diner that at Monk's, he goes, and we got Jim Fowler. He goes, you got Jim Fowler? He goes, practically raised his kids. Yeah. I say, whenever somebody says that to me, as I always say, practically raised his kids. And like 1% of the population knows what I'm talking about. You would. You would. Yeah. You would, though. You would, though. Yeah, it's a deep pull. But it's my, like, you know, and the reason it's so funny to me is that, like Kramer says it, and then Jerry doesn't question it because it's just very much like, well, maybe he does. Like Kramer has all this mystery about his life, about where he even comes from. So like maybe he did practically raise Jim Fowler's kids.
We don't know. Much like the Joker, we don't know much about Kramer's past. So
no.
It's very mysterious.
Yeah. I mean, they held out on us. Now, Pierre, you had an assignment, which I'm not sure you've completed yet.
Yeah, I thought about that all week, and and I still have not completed it. But here's the thing. The reason why I have not completed it is because I never got an opportunity to be in studio to anchor this week, which is kind of like the natural part of where I would put it. I was live for the majority of the week, so in my mind I wanted to try to fit it in there, but in my mind I was like, well, if I do this live, I'm probably going to get a phone call like, what the heck was that? Like when you're talking about something very specific. So it unfortunately never formulated itself. But rest assured, even though that this is the final Monday that you and I are going to be doing this, that doesn't mean I have relieved myself of the assignment. I will go back at some point.
Well, look, we'll get it. And I might, because there's going to be some time where we're not on a couple of months. Like we're not going to come back on until we get to the new format. The show's going to be recorded earlier. I'll just tell people but we're going to air it in the evening. So that's going to be our vibe. So
don't mind me right now, because I have to listen. I was going to try to make it through the show, but I've got a pinched nerve in my back. And the only way that I don't feel it is if I lie down. So now that this is the last show, I'm just going to be doing it lying down, because I got to tell you, sitting upright is very, very painful for me right now. So I thought I could make it through the show, but I didn't even make it like 7 minutes.
No, you made it 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
3 minutes. And Pierre, listen, you just turned 40 years old.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome aboard. These
are
the things that happen. And did you do anything to pinch the nerve?
I honestly don't know what I did. I think it might have been from working out, probably.
You hope it's from working out.
I hope.
That's what you have to say. I hope it's from working out. But there are days where you will wake up, and like it happened to me one time where I hadn't really done much like with my shoulders in a week. I mean, nothing. And I woke up and I couldn't turn my head. I had to call the chiropractor on a Saturday morning and say, can you guys fit me in? And they're like, yes, absolutely. And then Amanda wasn't ready. Like she couldn't, I wanted her to drive me. And she's like, well, I have this other thing I have to do this morning. So you're going to have to, so like, it was one of those things where I was like, all right, well, I took a path where I would not have had to check blind spots because I couldn't. Like, I was like, all right. And there's going to, like, if I have to, it's just going to be like, like the little, like, okay, I'm check the mirrors. If that guy looks like he's far enough away, I'm going to do this. And if there's a horn, I'll just stay,
Yeah.
Like that's how it was. I couldn't the only way I could turn around was to do that. You can't do that while you're driving.
No.
And so, I went and they fixed me up really, really well, really fast. But the doctor's like, what'd you do? And I was like, and this is like 2 years ago. I'm like, I don't know, a couple months ago, I turned 43, like that's, I mean, I wasn't like doing anything. Like I wasn't lifting heavy stuff with my shoulders and neck. It just like, Right. And he's like, are you stressed about anything? I was like, in this particular moment, no. But I just woke up in the morning. He's like, did you sleep weird? I'm like, I mean, that your guess is as good as mine, Doc. I don't know.
I do have a very specific pillow that I sleep on that I've been sleeping on for the last 6, 7 years, which has been fantastic for me. And a couple of weeks ago, I realized that my fiance had stolen that pillow and I hadn't been sleeping on it for a certain amount of time. And that absolutely affects my neck if I go without sleeping on that pillow. But I think this has been going on for 9 or 10 days in a row. So I'm thinking like, I probably should go. I've got a massage coming up at 3:30 and hopefully that does the trick because I need to be on a plane to Los Angeles tomorrow to cover the Wolves and the Lakers. And if I have to sit on a plane feeling the way that I do when I sit down, which is the worst pain that I have is by sitting down for 4 hours, that's going to be a hellacious flight to LA.
Hey, Garrett, what do you think?
Yes.
Are there places that legally dispense in Minnesota? Are you one of those states or no?
We are.
You are. So listen, Pierre, I don't know what the company policy is.
Sure.
But I do know that that when you do go to California, which airport are you flying into? LAX?
LAX, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going right there.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to be close to Staples.
Yeah.
You fly into LAX. I promise you, like you just get out the old Google bot there and ask it, where one is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You will not, like your Uber driver, you can add the stop and he's like, yeah, here, this one. Yeah, I got to know where that is. I got you.
Trust me, I've already thought about that because I was like, oh man, if I still have pain and I need to sit on this flight for 4 hours, that's probably the only way I can get through it.
Yeah.
But the problem is when I get to LA, I'm hitting the ground running. They got practice that afternoon. I don't want to show up to the press conference and looking at Chris Finch and being like, so coach, why don't you play Corliss Williamson some more? And for people that know, Corliss is an assistant coach on the team. So I don't want to be looking like a total moron, but if this pain keeps up, I might just do it. Forget it.
I would love you to ask a question like, Coach, you ever think about the triangle and two? Like, really think about it?
Yeah, really think about it. Yeah. Have you ever just like sat down and just like channeled your inner Bill Walton and just given this whole triangle offense idea a real run for its money? Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Okay, I've got a different solution for you.
Yeah.
You will, after the press conference, then walk into a locker room full of NBA players, right?
Correct.
Okay. Which one is the one you have the best relationship with?
The players?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay, you can think about that. I'm just going to say, instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to go to this place after, what you do is let's just say it's Randall, right? You go to Julius Randall, you say, hey, and you're just talking to him like, God, this pinched nerve in my back. Do you have a trick, anything you do when you had like a little back thing? And then he'll be like, you know what? You need to call Randy.
Yeah. No, and I thought because Rudy Gobert just came off a back injury, but it was a lower back injury, and it's not exactly the same thing that I have got going on right now. But I'm sure, and I've got out of all the players in there, I probably have the best relationship with Rudy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so he would be the guy, and I could speak French with him a little bit, so it's like it works out great. It works out great.
There we go. Well, then there we go. That's the solution, Pierre.
Yeah.
Also, I think you should do all the shows like this.
Yeah. So it looks like I have 14 chins under my on my neck. I'm looking great. Anybody tuning into the show is wondering, like, God, what a lazy fat pig this kid is. Like, I'm just like, hey, I've gained a few pounds and my back's out right now. I'm just trying to make it through the day.
Yeah. While we're talking about the NBA, let's get it off. The last 2 minutes of that game, were unbelievable. And I think that might be the first, and it might wind up being the only time in LeBron's career where he committed a foul that cost them the game.
Right.
In that moment, in the last, and to get it reviewed and called the correct way. It was like, and the thing is, I'm watching it and the sound was a little bit down.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was like, well, that's kind of a weird call that, it's just going back to the Lakers here. And so I turn it up and, within 10 seconds of them throwing up the review, Doris Burke and everybody who was watching and thinks, oh, that's a foul. They were like, yeah, that's a foul. So the national broadcast was like, yeah, I think that might be a foul. And you watch it and so they had that Hawkeye cam that they had on it and you watch it from that angle and you're like, yeah, I mean, the only and you read social media and oh, they can't make that call then. Well, when you have this review and then you have the absolute textbook definition of a foul, he slapped his arm across both arms while Anthony Edwards was trying to shoot. What? Yeah, if there was no review anymore, like it's just a missed foul, but like when it comes across, there was no gray area to it. It was like, no, that's a foul. And it's now like they've reviewed it, so they put in this rule so these things don't happen. And I mean, that was and obviously the Lakers now are behind the 8 ball, being down 3-1. And I mean, look, the Timberwolves I thought were better. Like NBA seeding is so weird because of the way that, like, you know, like when I remember like when I see it, you know, when the playoff seedings come out, and I was like 3-6, and in my mind I just kept thinking that the Timberwolves would be the 3rd seed, and the Lakers would be the 6th seed, but it's reversed because big injuries in the middle of the year. This big, you know, Luka has certainly helped them, although yesterday he made Nico Harrison, like that's the most Nico's looked in this whole thing, because Luka was lost on defense. And still, but here's the thing. He made him look kind of smart, like, oh, look, he's not good at defense. Yeah, but it still took a review with, 9 seconds left that the Lakers may not have won. So, you know, if the review doesn't go their way, there's no doubt in my mind the Lakers go down there and win the game.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what would have happened to it. And it looked dire going into the 4th quarter. The Wolves were down 10. That 3rd quarter explosion from LA like kind of made me think, oh boy, I think this is just going to be one of those games where Luka and LeBron are going to be too much. But Anthony Edwards was just absolutely sensational in the 4th quarter. And I think in that moment too, Paul, I think this is a lesson for a lot of NBA coaches out there. Unless it's absolutely obvious. And I've never understood why any NBA coach would challenge a play until the final 2 minutes of a game, because you never know what's going to happen throughout the course of the game. And if you enter the final 2 minutes of a game where it's tied, or you're down 2, or you're down 1, or if you're up 1, you're going to need that challenge. It's going to come down to a possibly questionable call that you're going to need to challenge. So any coach that thinks about challenging before the last 2 minutes of a game, I think is absolutely crazy. But that, you know, the proof came to fruition yesterday in that very play, because like you said, the replay got him on the wrist. I know a lot of the Lakers fans right now are crying about Luka getting quote unquote tripped, you know, at half court by Jaden McDaniels. I'd have to look at that video again. When I saw it in real time, I thought Luka just slipped and fell. He
did just slip and fall. He did.
He did or did not?
No, he did. He did.
Yeah,
it wasn't. He didn't get tripped. He didn't get tripped. I mean, JJ Redick was furious but I mean, he slipped.
Travel call.
Here's the thing. That's the other thing I thought about LeBron and Anthony Edwards under the basket. Anthony Edwards was already slipping on the floor when LeBron fouled him.
Right. Yes.
Had LeBron not touched him, which I know is a thing. Like, and I'm sure LeBron's been like, damn it. Now that he's watched, he's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done anything. He was falling down. You know, like he wouldn't, like, there was no way he was making that shot. There was no way, because, or if there was, it would have been one of those things that we watch forever. You know, oh my God, Anthony Edwards just made the falling down, you know, around LeBron onto the green, you know, because he was already slipping. So they might want to, you know, tighten up the floors there a little bit. Get the mop guy out there.
We had a few issues with that in Game 3 and Game 4, but so I don't know what's going on with the floors at the Target Center, but to be honest with you, these last 2 games at the Target Center, Game 3, I walked out of Game 3 thinking, man, that was an awesome game. That was a great atmosphere. That was an awesome game. And I walked out of Game 4 thinking, I cannot believe Game 4 topped Game 3. I didn't think Game 3 could be topped with how good it was. Game 4 was all of that and more. It's been a great series thus far. I'm hoping that Minnesota can end this series on Wednesday night, so we don't have to do the travel back again. That would be much easier for me and my back. So that would be great if Minnesota could just end it, just to accommodate me, because it's all about me, as you know, Paul.
Yes, I don't want your back to have to suffer through countless Southwest flights.
No.
No. You know, no. I don't. But I do hope you enjoy LA for the couple days you're there.
I hope so too, and I will say this too, because you know, if it's too painful for me, if somebody at work noticed it was too painful for me to get on a flight and cover the team, and they would volunteer to do it for me, I would say over my dead body. It would be like Elaine eating all of those crappy subs and then she finally has the final one to get the free sub. And that's kind of how I feel about the Timberwolves. I've covered a lot of crappy basketball here for a long time. And now that this team is finally good and we get to kind of enjoy the fruits of their labor, I have put up with a lot of crap, and I'm not about to let it squander at the end when they could be a team that goes to the finals. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they could very well be back in the finals. It's a really good team, and they're healthy now, and they've got the one of the crown jewel players in the NBA right now, Anthony Edwards. I mean, they really do. He's I don't think he should have said to the Lakers fans what he said the other day.
Right. Yes.
But it did make me like him more.
He is nothing if not himself. Anthony Edwards is always himself at all times, for better or for worse. You're always going to get genuine Anthony Edwards on a daily basis.
Yeah. So, was it mature? No. But not everybody's always mature. And as immature things go, I'll take that over Ja Morant any day.
Sure. Sure. And I think even if Anthony Edwards were sitting right next to me, I think he would even admit that he's not a mature human being. And he's not fully mature yet. He's 23. He's got the world at his feet, so he hasn't fully matured himself. There's no doubt about it. But man, is he a fun guy to watch play, and he's a fun guy to cover. I'll fully admit it. He has kind of reinvigorated my passion for the game and my passion for the business. Really, it's just been a joy to be around him.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing is sometimes you go long periods, especially when you cover a team for a while, you kind of go long periods where they're kind of in a slog, and they're just like, it's like every day is the same. And then you get somebody or a couple players who come in, a coach who comes in, and no 2 days are the same. And that makes you go, oh, wow, like, this is great, And look, if you had told me the Minnesota Timberwolves were even in contention for the NBA Finals 3 years ago, like just 3 years ago, like, hey, this is going to be a team that's going to push all the way, and they're going to be maybe qualifying for the finals. I'll be like, the Timberwolves, the Minnesota Timberwolves, not like the 9 and 10-year-old Duluth, Minnesota Timberwolves, like the actual, those guys there in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Like those guys. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
One of the most more bound franchises in the history of the league. Yeah.
Look, I was there, for 8 days when the Super Bowl was there, Pierre.
Right. Yeah.
And granted, it was the dead of winter. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you would see like jerseys, but I don't think I remember seeing in anywhere I went, like even in the Mall of America walking around, people wearing Timberwolves gear.
Yeah.
That wasn't even that long ago. Like, but nobody, like, it was the Vikings and mostly really sad because they thought they were going to get to host and play in it.
Right.
And then it was it was like occasion, like, Minnesota, the Gophers hockey.
Some Twins gear.
Some Twin stuff. It was mostly Vikings, and granted, but it's still winter. And if you have a big winter coat that is your favorite team and it's the Timberwolves, you're going to wear it. I understand that, maybe people in Minneapolis, like I have one winter coat because I don't need it all the time. Maybe you guys have more than one just to change it up.
I've ran out of room in my closet for all of them. Yes.
Yeah. So but if you had your big, puffy jacket, I would just assume I would have seen any. I mean, I drove by the Target Center several times. I didn't even see like people outside the Target Center. People who work for the Timberwolves are like, I mean, we work here, but let's not get crazy about it.
I mean, that just goes to show, no matter the sport, when you get a generational talent on your team, again, no matter the sport, it can absolutely change the dynamic of an entire franchise. You think Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez would be interested in buying this team if Anthony Edwards, if they didn't see Anthony Edwards as, like you said it, as the crown jewel of this franchise right now to lead it to the next chapter? No way. No way.
No, absolutely not. So, Pierre, we're going to talk about the NFL draft.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. You and I texted all weekend about our respective teams' picks. I actually, now that I have some distance, even though I didn't react well in the moment, I'm happy with what the Cowboys did. Now, Do I think it's going to make a big difference for them down the line? No, because the same people own them, but
Sure.
But as far as picking players who can help and immediately impact and play well, they still have 1.5 needs that need to be filled. And I don't know how they're going to address that. But you're in, like, we're in the same boat, similar positions. But you had a lot to say about Chris Greer, the Dolphins GM, who it's kind of just doing what he wants. And I want you to hold that so you can maybe stretch out a little bit. I don't want you to aggravate that pinch nerve.
I'll say this for a tease. The pain that I'm feeling in my back pales in comparison to the pain that the Miami Dolphins give me on a yearly basis. And you'll understand why on the other side of the break, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So when we come back, Pierre rants about the Dolphins draft, and I'm okay with the Cowboys. I mean, I would like to see a wide receiver and like a bell cow running back, but Jaden Blue ran like a 4.26, so I'm not that mad about that. So when we come back, we'll dive into it. This is the Triple Option.
To be your best requires commitment, dedication, and intensity. It's what defines elite athletes and inspires Airwave to find new ways to optimize your performance. Introducing Airwave Recovery, a mouthpiece designed to work while you sleep to further unlock your potential. Airwave Recovery features our patented reflex technology, small, integrated bumps uniquely positioned to activate your tongue's natural response. Your tongue will instinctively move forward, opening your airway and improving your quality of sleep. And thanks to our patented fitting material and a purpose-designed support wall, you'll enjoy a secure, comfortable fit all night long. With Airwave Recovery, you sleep better and recharge faster. Airwave Recovery, recharge your potential.
Life will test you. It will turn your world upside down. Again. And again. And again. The only way to hit back is to stand up. Stand up every time and say, I'm not done.
Escape into fitness with the Schwinn IC4 bike, providing a premium, heart-pumping indoor cycling experience that combines digital connectivity with superior Schwinn quality. The IC4's smooth, quiet ride features magnetic resistance with 100 micro-adjustable resistance levels, an intuitive resistance knob, a beautiful backlit LCD display, adjustable race-style seat, dual-link pedals with toe cages, and a pair of 3-pound dumbbells with easy-reach cradles. Place your phone or tablet on the media rack and keep them charged with the IC4's convenient USB charging station. Extra-large dipped handlebars for premium grip, and dual water bottle holders for staying hydrated. The Schwinn IC4 comes with a slim, comfortable, Bluetooth-enabled heart rate armband that continuously monitors heart rate to help you stay within your target zone. But the best part about the IC4 is premium digital connectivity. Digitally immerse yourself in a world of virtual races, exotic locales, and stunning trails from around the globe. With connectivity to cycling and coaching apps like Peloton, Explore the World, and Zwift, with the Schwinn IC4 bike, you can ride with Peloton at a fraction of the price. Don't limit yourself to one digital experience. Pedal through dozens of scenic destinations, controlling your pace by speeding up or slowing down. Fitness was never meant to be put in a box, and neither were you. Escape the everyday with the Schwinn IC4 bike your ticket to a life well lived.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back alongside Pierre Noujaim, Fox 9 Minneapolis, from what I'm hoping is a very comfortable position on the couch because he's got a pinched nerve in his back. Plus, this is the last time we're going to see Pierre for a couple months. So listen, shoes off. Let's just kick back and relax.
If I had longer hair, I'd let it down the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, I couldn't even make it 3 minutes, Paul. Like you said on TR, I was like, I think but you know what? I thought you were probably going to notice me like twitching and moving around, and like, what is wrong with this guy? Is he like tweaking out? Because I couldn't sit still because I was in so much pain. So, but now this is much better.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. So, Pierre, I'll give you the floor. We first started texting Friday night. Kenneth Grant is a fine player for Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was their biggest area of need. I really do like Jonah Savianaya, the offensive lineman from Arizona. I think he's going to help them. But you didn't like the way that all of it went down. You don't mind them drafting a guard. You mind them trading up to draft a guard, which is what they did. And then they didn't really have a whole they didn't have a bunch of draft picks anyway. So this was one that they had to finesse a little bit more.
No, they did. They had 10 picks going into this year's draft. But the problem I have is, listen, okay. Jonah Savianaya, I'm sure, is going to be a fine player in the NFL. At least I'm certainly hoping so. He plays for the team that I root for now. But moving up from 48 to 37 to get a guard. Now, granted, I understand that you believe, and NFL GMs know a lot more than I do, especially on draft day. Everybody kind of talks to each other. Everybody kind of has an idea of where the other is going to go. And you probably thought that Jonah Savianaya wasn't going to make it past 40. And you're sitting there 40. And you felt like he was a guy you absolutely had to go get. I understand it from that perspective. However, you're looking for a guard. I would never trade up for a guard. If you're going to trade up, it's got to be a guy who you feel like can make an absolute impact on your team right now from a playmaking perspective. Now, I know that I sound like a complete hypocrite and broken record when I say that this team has been weak in the trenches for way too long, and that's what they did in this draft. They addressed the trenches, which I appreciate and I understand it, but you gave up your third-round pick in this year's draft, and you traded out of the fourth round entirely. So after you traded up from 37, you didn't pick again till I believe it was 141 or something like that. This is the meat of the draft, is in that third, fourth round where you find guys. This team has holes at corner. It has holes at safety. It has holes at third wide receiver. It didn't address that until the fifth round, and you gave up the opportunity to address that with probably better players that were on the board in the third and fourth round. You traded out entirely. And Chris Grier, listen, at the end of the offseason, Stephen Ross, the Dolphins owner, came out and said, I trust my guys I have in place, but make no mistake about it, Dolphins fans, we're not going to settle for the status quo. And when I see Chris Grier trade out of the fourth round entirely for a 2026 third round pick, that indicates to me that is a man who is not operating in fear. That's a man who's not operating in fear of losing his job, and he is not terribly concerned about piecing together the 2025 Dolphins the way they need to be pieced together. And that to me is absolutely infuriating, because I would have thought that knowing that your job is on the line, you do everything in your power to make sure that the 2025 version of the Dolphins were absolutely up to par at every single position. And when you trade out of the 3rd and 4th round entirely, that to me says, nah, I'm good. I'll be here next year. I think I'm just going to go with my board, and I'm going to be here next year anyway. It doesn't matter. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating.
I've enjoyed that quite a bit, Pierre. And look, they're like, what have they done? What do they do to help Tua out? Right? Like, right. What do they do to do that? I'm not sure they really did. Although they drafted players I like. I love Ollie Gordon. And they took Ollie Gordon in the 6th round. Almost because they have because of Mike McDaniel, this 49ers thing of like, we're taking a running back. Like, we're going to take a running back. Although, with Devon Achane and Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon is the 3rd back at best, and he doesn't have a lot of special teams, experience at least for you. So that's why that one was a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I mean, and as you and I were talking about it, I like the player. My issue is not with the player. And to Mike McDaniel's credit, for all of his flaws, one thing that I think he identifies well is running backs. And so from that perspective, I don't hate the player, but this team needs a 3rd wide receiver. I don't know if Malik Washington is the answer or not. He could be. He was a 6th round pick last year, showed flashes last year as a rookie, but Tyreek Hill could be out the door, if not this year, probably by next year. So what's the plan in place for when Tyreek Hill walks out the door? And on top of it too, this team is about to trade Jalen Ramsey. What's the plan at corner? Are you hoping that Cam Smith, your 2nd round pick, who has been a bust so far from a couple of years ago, just magically figures it out? Or are you just going to pick up the phone and call Stephon Gilmore or Shaq Griffin and just get them in here at minicamp and figure that's going to be the solution to your ills? When two of those guys who had good seasons for the Vikings last year, but they were playing under, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in the game. So the logic, Chris Greer last year mocked the media saying, we don't worry about the offensive line clearly as much as you guys do. Well, what transpired in the 2025 season? Pass block win rate, that team was absolutely atrocious. And then he even kind of admitted, he's like, well, yeah, I guess we will have to address the offense. What is he doing? This is as clear as day what this team needs. Now, like I said earlier, they address the trenches. That's where this team needs to get tougher. Absolutely, no question about it. But but you still could have done that and held on to all your picks in this draft. You still could have done that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about Shedeur a little bit. I mean, everybody in the world's talked about it. I don't want to, we can pile on the kid for prank calling him, which was a dumb thing to do. But I'll tell you that, if I had ever embarrassed my dad at work, he had to get a prosthetic leg because he would have broken it off in my ass. I can tell you right now, that, oh, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of those things that, it just lingers. He's going to be mad. He can't go visit his dad at work ever until he goes to another team. He can't ever go visit his dad with the Falcons ever. No. Hey, come into nope, I do not, and so,
and then to be dumb enough to film yourself doing it too.
Oh my gosh. Look, I'm very glad that camera phones didn't exist when we were in our 20s, Pierre. But here's the thing. I think I would not have filmed myself. I would have worried about somebody else filming me.
Yeah.
But let's film this particular thing we're going to do. That's where I lose it. Hey, this is potentially really dumb, but we think it's funny. It's not.
No.
Let's not film it. But the coverage around Shedeur was really how's this happening? All of this, it is everybody wants to bake it down into one thing. And it's really a confluence of factors, right? So one was that the Steelers have no plan other than Aaron Rodgers is going to sign there, which if you want to, like, if people want to talk about chemistry in the locker room and, toxic and all that, you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers is going to solve your problem that way and Shedeur is not? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Also, like, Aaron Rodgers is at best a 1-year hitch. That's it. That's all you've got. So that was one of the factors. One of the other factors is that NFL scouts gossip a lot. And so all it takes is one scout who has a lot of friends that respect to be like, man, he was awful in this interview. And then they're like, okay, well, Then there were a bunch of teams that didn't have him on the board anyway, which is true for tons of prospects anyhow. So of the 32 teams, 20 of them probably never even considered drafting him in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about too, because I mean, I know mock drafts are not the end all be all, but it's a big part of what we have to go off of during draft season for those of us who are interested in the draft, and kind of we like to see what people are talking about and where we think these guys are projected. And there was definitely some whispers. I heard some talk about him possibly going in the second round as well, but the free fall that we saw, I'd never anticipated it for a second fall. I mean, even I, somebody, you and I had talked about it in months leading up to the draft. I said, I like Cam Ward the best. After that, I'm not thrilled with his quarterback class in general. Like, yeah, I think Shedeur has a high floor, but he doesn't really excite me all that much. But I never once for a second thought that he would fall out of the second round. Not once.
No, I never did. Like, I never thought he fell past the first 40 picks. I thought, yeah. And the other, there's a couple other factors, but the one I want to talk about the most is, and this should be a lesson to everybody, no matter who your dad is, the Sanders camp, and this is what I do think they were guilty of. They did not respect the draft process. They tried to cut their own path to it. And sometimes you just need to go bend the knee a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do that. And it was to their detriment because, again, you're talking about coaches and scouts and people who work really hard at this. They have their expectations. They just want it to be like, it's a really long process. It's probably a month longer than it truly needs to be. And especially now with the technology, like, you don't need 6 months of scouting on a guy when you can just call up the school and get all his cut-ups, and watch the film. Like, it's not like it used to be where you'd be like, all right, well, we got to go to Oregon and watch this kid from Oregon State work out because they were only on TV once and he had a sprained ankle. So we got to go watch this kid because he's apparently really good, but we don't have a lot of film on it. So we got to go, take a bus and a train to get to Corvallis, Oregon and do this. It's different now.
Sure.
But they set up these things to make it easier for both sides to be seen and heard by NFL front offices. And every time they're like, well, no, you can come to our thing. Like, I'll be like, you can see me, but I'm not going to go to your thing. You can just, we ain't hard to find was a really bad strategy. It just was a really bad strategy. And that led to all the stuff. And then when you have the we ain't hard to find, that's when the gossip happens and all these things that are not necessarily true get out. And then you get these narratives built up about like what kind of person Shedeur is and all that. And what I will tell you is Shedeur has never committed a crime. All those guys in Colorado would lay down in traffic for him. And if your problem is he's a little bit of a diva, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Like, honestly, that's how I feel. Like, if that's what you think, like, all right, do you know how many like silos of pieces of shit that the NFL has housed over the years on their roster that have done stuff way beyond having really expensive jewelry and cars when they're in college?
Yeah.
Way beyond. Yeah. So don't give me the character stuff. Now, yeah, I do buy that, like, eventually, like, if he's going to wind up being your backup, you kind of need to humble him a little bit because you don't want the circus coming for a backup quarterback. So the only place that could really handle that circus is the one that's got quarterback chaos in the first place in Cleveland. So, like, once he fell, that was pretty much like Cleveland and Pittsburgh and maybe Vegas. Like, those are the only three that were any kind of realistic option for him for teams that might have needed a backup quarterback. Otherwise, he wasn't, he's not going to go to Dallas and be Dak's backup, or Miami and be Tua's backup. They don't need that smoke. He's not going to San Francisco where everybody's, every time Brock Purdy, doesn't look a little bit athletic, everybody flips out. So you're not going to put him in New York with Justin Fields. You're not, so like there are all these situations that just weren't going to happen, especially when Aaron Glenn's trying to rebuild the culture there. And I think he wants to like simplify being a Jet, like Aaron Rodgers, the locker room. Well, sure. I mean, again, we just talked about it. So I mean, look, Shedeur and Dion and the Sanders group kind of made their bed and they've had to sleep in it. A little bit on there. There were consequences to it, but the gossip and the BS, that's where you lose me of like, all right, like, let's look at this realistically. You guys haven't had divas on your team that you put up with because they're good. Shut up. You've put up with criminals and divas and all that. This is easy. If you have the right people in place, it should not be a problem. That's where I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, it's funny, too, if you look back at the tape of when Dion was drafted. I mean, if I recall correctly, he's got the sunglasses, he's got the jacket. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely looking like a guy who, is likes the lifestyle. And he was still taking, fourth overall? So, yeah. I mean, I'm not comparing Dion's talent to Shedeur's talent, but it really does make no sense in terms of how far he fell and why. I want to kind of expand the view of this too, and you and I kind of talked about this. We may have, I don't remember, but when the Browns took Dillon Gabriel in the third round, my jaw hit the floor. I said, who on earth had Dillon Gabriel with anything higher than I was going to say 6th round grade, but 5th round grade at absolute most, a 5th round grade on Dillon Gabriel. And the fact that you took him in the 3rd round and then you take Shedeur in the 5th round, well, that makes the Dillon Gabriel selection make even less sense. Now that you took Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round and you've got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel. We're not going to count Deshaun Watson because we don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough to play. And even if he is, I bet you the Browns are going to be like, yeah.
I would tell you, Deshaun Watson will likely never take another NFL snap.
Never. An NFL snap? I don't know about. He'll never take another snap for the Browns.
He's never taking another snap for the Browns. I don't think he's ever going to play again. I think pre-second Achilles injury, he showed that he wasn't that good anymore. Like he's lost all his skill set and he's more headache than he's worth. So, I mean, he might get a couple more shots, but a regular season NFL snap, I think, is very rare for him. And when I see people like tweeting out that thing about the Browns quarterback room, like Deshaun Watson's part of it, no. I doubt he'll even be at the facility outside of whatever contractually obligated rehab he has to do for that Achilles. That is all about the insurance that they have to pay on it. He is, by the owner's admission, a sunk cost. Right now, he's not going to play for them. It's going to be Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Shedeur battling out for the spots, and all 4 of them may make it. They may keep 4 quarterbacks. One goes on the practice squad, the other 3, or they keep 4 on the active roster. San Francisco does it every year, so
I'm still flummoxed by the whole Dillon Gabriel pick. I mean, if you ask me about the draft, like the move that shocked you in the draft, it was Dillon Gabriel for me going in the 3rd round. I was absolutely floored. Never once anticipated that for a single second. Not one. I do want to ask you though, are you, because you and I were talking about it, the Cowboys pick after pick after pick after pick and no running back until you finally got one. Was it 5th or 6th round?
5th round for Jaden Blue. Yeah.
5th round for Jaden Blue. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, there was still a lot of good running backs on the board, like going into the 4th round.
And they traded their 4th round pick away.
Yeah.
For Kaiir Elam. I don't know. Like one of the 5th round picks was Kaiir Elam. The 4th round pick was for Jonathan Mingo, who essentially is now their best shot at a real number 2 wide receiver. Sure. And I don't know how well, like they've had a whole offseason with him. He and Dak really haven't played together yet. I mean, they haven't played together at all, but like Dak's still recovering from his hamstring surgery. So they're they're pushing a lot to the middle of the table on Jaden Blue at running back, who I'm very excited that he's on the team, but he is not now, nor has he ever been a number one back. Like, he's not that.
Right.
Now, have they maybe replaced Tony Pollard in the way that they had Tony Pollard and Zeke for those couple years? Yeah, maybe, but they still haven't replaced Zeke yet. And I've seen a lot of Cowboy fans. They're like, "Oh no, Javonte Williams is a stud." I'm like, no. If he was a stud, like, he's not some kind of diamond in the rough. He had a shot to prove that he was. He never did in Denver. Like, the Broncos are not exactly set at running back themselves, so like, they let him go. Miles Sanders is always hurt. It would not surprise me to see both those guys not even make the roster out of camp, although I think one of them will. Phil Maffa is a second-round pick who, if you need 4 yards, he'll get you 4 yards. If you need 8 yards, he'll get you 4 yards. Yeah. I mean, that's like, he's a short yardage back. He'll be good in those type of situations, but he's likely going to be a practice squad player because they picked him in the 7th round. Should he make the team? And so that position distresses me a little bit. And there's some trade rumors going on with the Cowboys because Jerry started them the other day. And, I guess we'll see where that goes, but they don't have a true number 2 wide receiver on this roster. And that is a disservice to Dak Prescott in a way that is ridiculous. And they're not, like, they keep pushing, like, we like our guys. We like our guys. We like our guys. All right. Okay. Like, over and over and over again. 29 years. 29 years.
Right.
I saw Kai Jones, who is Jerry Jr.'s son. And I got to know Kai a little bit back in the days when we would go to Oxnard all the time when he was a little kid running around. Kai is younger than 29 years. He was not alive. Like, Jerry's grandkids were not alive the last time they won a Super Bowl. So, like, if you want them to see one while you are still alive, you're going to have to change the way that you do things. And I believe the problem is Stephen Jones. The Cowboys were a lot more fun and better when Jerry was kind of unencumbered to make the decisions he wanted to make. And then Stephen kind of asserted some dominance there to help with the salary cap, to which he does not understand to this day. We're 25 years into the salary cap era. Cowboys don't really understand how it works, or like, they don't. They don't.
Right.
They just don't. And so, I, like many Cowboys fans, refuse to get excited about anything until I hear the words, the Dallas Cowboys are going to the NFC Championship.
Right.
Then I'll go, okay, they've taken some steps forward. And then even then, until I hear the words, the Dallas Cowboys, after my years, are returning to the Super Bowl, then I'll be a little bit more happy. And then I won't be happy again until they're kissing the Lombardi trophy and passing it around. Because there's no, like, I have a friend named Nelson, and Nelson works out at my gym. And, he would always tell me, like, oh, they've won the NFC East a bunch of times. And my thing to the Cowboys have won the NFC East a bunch is, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, who cares about division titles?
Right. Nobody cares.
Like, when, you know what? I told him, I said, listen, I've been to the Star more times than I can count, and I'll be back more times than I can count. When you walk in the front door of the Star, do you see all the division championship banners? No. You see 5 Lombardi trophies is the first thing you see. Right. As you get past, there's a press conference room on the right. There's a security guard that stands at a podium and makes sure you're wearing your credential. Once the press conference room ends, there's a hallway. The hallway has all the helmets of the teams. And in the center, in the tabernacle spot of the lobby, is 5 Lombardi trophies. They don't gather dust because there's a guy who comes and cleans them all day. But, that have been 5 Lombardi trophies for 29 years.
Sure.
There's just 5. And, the last one's like, Mom and Dad, can I have a brother? And they're like, maybe, So so nothing will get me excited until then. Until then, it's the same old Cowboys.
I do want to ask you this though, because I'm not going to get into the whole world of draft grades and stuff like that, because that's stupid. We don't know how any draft class pans out for at least 3 years, really. I mean, I think that's a fair barometer of when you can really judge a draft class or not. But I do think I am okay with talking about, like, when you look up and down the league and you see each team's draft class, there are going to be some that stand out to you more than others. I do have one team in particular that I thought I really liked what they did, but I want to hear yours first, to be honest with you, if you have any thoughts on that.
The Eagles. I always like what the Eagles do.
Yeah,
like, they just know how to fill their roster, and they traded up one pick to make sure nobody traded in front of, traded with Kansas City to get the guy they wanted in Jahad Campbell. And then they just kept getting dudes, like really good players.
I can't believe they got Ty Robinson.
Yeah.
I cannot believe the Eagles landed Ty Robinson in the 4th round. I absolutely cannot believe that, Paul. Like, seriously, that was like, how in the world did they land Ty Robinson?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
A team I really liked their draft was the Jaguars. I mean, like,
interesting. Okay.
I love going up to get, hold on. Let me pull up their whole draft class, but I do look, I love them going up and getting a guy, that is could be a generational player. Also a Florida native who is going to have a blast playing in Florida and all of that.
Sure.
I really like, they drafted we interviewed him, Wyatt Milam. And actually you can find those interviews. Andrew's been putting him up from Big 12 Pro Day up. He put them up yesterday. He's putting them up throughout. But Wyatt Milam, guard from West Virginia, love him. He was my favorite offensive lineman in the entire draft. The Cowboys got Tyler Booker, and I didn't think that they were going to draft a guard that high. I told him, Garrett, remember, I was like, do you think you could be comfortable living like here? Because that's what I want. Bashal Chutin, the running back, love that. Super fast, really good player. One of the guys I kind of had earmarked for the Cowboys. And Jack Kaiser, the linebacker from Notre Dame, is a really, really good player who's like a field general kind of dude there that just makes tackles, is old school, like, put his shoulder in your face mask and make you feel him kind of a dude. So, yes, for the first time in my life, I'm going to say this. The Jacksonville Jaguars really impressed me.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it very much, actually. The team that I was looking at for me when it was all said and done, I thought to myself, boy, I think they had a nice weekend, was Seattle, actually. Yeah. Gray Zabel went a little higher than I probably would have gone. It was a little too rich for my blood in terms of where he went, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a great player in the league. And that's a guy that you just plug and play and have him in there for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And he's probably going to make multiple Pro Bowls. So I can't really complain about that. Then Nick Emanwori slides down to you at 35 or 36 or wherever they traded up to get him. Get Nick Emanwori. They get Elijah Arroyo, who's a very, very consistent tight end. And get a late round gem in Damian Martinez. I thought that was a little bit later, and I thought Damian Martinez would go. I know everybody probably would say, well, what about Jalen Milroe? I was like, yeah, that's definitely
he's not their starter though.
Yeah, he's not. No, he won't be. He won't be the starter, and who knows what he could develop into with the right coaching. But I walked away thinking, you know what? I kind of like what Seattle did. I think they got some great talent on their team.
Yeah. All right, Pierre, we've got 5 minutes left. And this is the 5 minutes where we will talk about our reality competition shows.
Yeah.
How did we feel about the Challenge All-Stars? I thought that Adam and Steve were the ones who deserved to win, and I was really glad that a team that wasn't really that good won the thing, that the best team won it in the end.
I was there really wasn't I wanted to see Shane and Davon win it. Out of the teams left, I wanted to see Shane and Davon win it. I thought that would have been a fun way to end the season. I didn't love the all the remaining teams. I couldn't stand. I still can't. To this day, it's funny because I haven't seen Frank on my TV for 12 years, and it took all of 5 minutes to remind myself as to why I can't stand this guy, at all. This was All-Stars 5 was the weakest cast of the All-Stars, and the full reason being it was just another challenge because the All-Stars are left for the people that we grew up with in the late 90s and the early aughts. Those are the people that we want to see. And this cast was not that. It was kind of a half. So I didn't love this season of All Stars. It was okay. But especially if you go back and you watch the elimination between Nina or Nani and Turbo and Adam and Steve, that was one of the worst eliminations I've ever seen in my life. It was, I couldn't understand how you just have like a little bit of a guessing game. And then Nani and Turbo were at a complete disadvantage, only going twice in that elimination, as opposed to Adam and Steve who went 3 times.
Yeah.
So
I think part of that is that a lot of these people are in their 40s and they have to like plan out challenges that aren't going to, otherwise they'll have a final where everybody's limping.
Yeah.
Like
you get a pinched nerve in your back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. All right. Who right now of the teams that are left is your pick to win the Amazing Race?
Man, there's some good teams left too. I think you have to right now consider what are their names? The 2 guys, the Vegas performers.
I
forget what their names
Brett
are.
Brett and Mark.
Yeah. I think you have to consider those guys as the favorite, although I hate saying this. I think you have to watch out for Jonathan and Anna.
Yeah.
I think you have to watch out for them, even though Jonathan is just the absolute worst. The worst. Just the way he just the subtle digs that he makes and how nothing is his fault. He's just the worst.
I think Carson and Jack are probably like the ones who are, because like they're very smart.
Yeah.
They're very smart.
Yeah.
I would not say the same about Brett and Mark.
I
think sometimes agree that they're like, I'm not saying they're idiots, but like, because there have been idiots on the show.
Yeah.
We just finished watching, I want to say it was season 18.
Okay.
And in the final, that one was, they went back to Los Angeles, and the team that came in third, God, I can't remember the names, but it was a guy and a girl. And it was the 2 girl teams finished ahead of them.
Okay.
In the final. And it was in fact the first the doctors that won, the girl doctors, Nat and Kat, they won. And the other 2 teams figured out how to find out where they were supposed to go for, like, the roadblock or whatever. And there was a clue, and it was like Sancho Panza's master. And I'm like none of them knew it though. And I'm like, off the bat, I was like a Don Quixote. Yeah. And Amanda goes, "Did you just know that?" I'm like, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
If you took high school English, you know who Don Quixote is.
Right.
And this is not like now high school English. This was back then where those people are my age. Like, yeah, you should remember Don Quixote. You probably had to take a stupid test about it.
Yeah.
It's very like, and then I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, then the team that came in third, I was like, how dumb are you guys?
Right.
Just go, like, ask the driver, take me to a hotel very close to here, please.
Right.
Like, take me to a hotel, which is what the smart teams did. One of them, I think, was like, it took them a second to figure it out. And one of them called information and they went to a hotel. Well, that's what you do. Like, hey, it doesn't say on the clue you can't use a computer.
Yeah.
But and I really do enjoy Alyssa and Josiah, but I think they're gonna get nicked by something.
I kind of hope that they win. But yeah, I think Jonathan and Anna is going to be tough to beat. And one thing I was not expecting to say on this show, or maybe ever, especially after watching the show the last couple of weeks, boy, the Bulgarian countryside seems very lovely, doesn't it?
The people seem really happy. Like they were thrilled.
Yeah.
To have all those. It's the first time they've ever been there.
It looked awesome.
Yeah. No, I've never thought hey, I'd like to explore Bulgaria a little bit, but they seem to have fun.
Yeah. That looked like a great host country.
Yeah. No, I mean, they haven't gone to no, they went to Bangladesh, right?
I think they have gone to Bangladesh. Yeah.
No, but then in this season they went to.
I remember they went to Dubai. Dubai,
but they there's always one stop they go to that's not a fun place to be.
No.
And and part of it is because that's a challenge and it's different. And that's the thing, Pierre, if you and I are ever on that show, I think the leg that's going to trip me up is the one where they don't take us to London or France or wherever, where they take us to Bangladesh. And then I'm going to have to run up to these very poor people who are downtrodden to be like, hey, I'm in a reality television show that they're paying to fly me all over the world to win $1 million. You don't have clean running water. Would you please help me build this thing? Right?
That's so true.
True. I mean, I would feel like such a piece of American crap. In Bangladesh, oh, hey, can you I'm trying to sell these sunglasses. Can you help me? And can you buy sunglasses from me?
You can't believe that they don't own a cell phone. What kind of country? If we enter, I've thought about this too. The country that would trip me up without a doubt, India. I was like, if we're going to India, that's where my Amazing Race experience ends. 100%.
Yeah, we're gonna have to here's the thing that's different about you and me. When we get on the show, I'm not gonna say if, I'm gonna say when. When we get on the Amazing Race, we have a plan. We're gonna read every clue. And here's the thing: we're gonna let teams run away from us when we get clues because we're gonna sit there and read it, and then we're gonna watch them mess up.
It never ceases to amaze me how many people do not read the whole clue still to this very
day. A team that got eliminated this week. Correct. Took taxis all over the place.
What is it, season 38 or 39 that we're on? Yeah. Never ceases to amaze me. Yeah. Never.
And I guess in the moment, but anyway. Yeah. So, all right, Pierre, well, I hope your back feels better. I'll talk to you this week. We don't not talk. But work on that thing. We'll debut it when we come back with whatever the show's going to be called. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's going to be a little bit different format, but it's still going to include Pierre because I'm
very excited for what's to come.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be kind of a late night format. And then maybe we throw in a game show to it. I don't know, Pierre. I don't know. There's no rules.
Who's going to be hosting the animals?
I would love. We've had dogs in here plenty of times.
That counts.
It counts. If I get one monkey in the studio, then we've won.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an orangutan that makes college football picks at the zoo here in town. I think he should be a segment.
Absolutely.
Scandals and animals.
Why not?
Scandals and animals.
I love. Yes.
That's what we do. All right. Pierre, get yourself a nice weed cookie and relax. Don't eat the whole thing. I hope your flight goes okay. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, boys.
That's going to do it with a triple option today. Tomorrow, Royden's back from Korea, I think. I hope he's back.
He might be. I haven't checked up on him.
I don't know. We got to check where Royden is. He's in parts unknown right now. But we have 3 more shows regardless, and then off for a little while. I'm going to Dollywood this week, fellers.
Enjoy that.
Dollywood. That's right. Dolly Parton, who wrote the greatest country song ever, Jolene. And made a bunch of money by writing a song called I Will Always Love You about Porter Wagner, which is about non-romantic love, and then made even more money when Whitney Houston did it. And that's why there's a Dollywood.
Yes, I did not know all of that.
That's a huge reason there's a Dollywood is I Will Always Love You. You know that song, Garrett.
Yes, I know that one.
That was a Dolly Parton song. She wrote it about Porter Wagner, who is like a father figure to her. And they had a falling out, and then she wound up helping him financially. And then Whitney Houston did it for the movie The Bodyguard. And now Dolly doesn't want for anything ever. So
not a bad lick to hit.
No,
I like it.
I would put if I get elected president, she's gonna be my Secretary of the Treasury. Our economy will be fixed. Done.
That would be nice.
The Senate would be up there like, Dolly, do you think that she'd be like, listen, I'm a cottage industry unto myself. We're going to run America like Dollywood. That's the business I want it to be like. This is the triple option. See you guys tomorrow.